A football podcast for football fans by football guys. Welcome to the End Zone Experts.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the End Zone Experts. This is your ultimate stop for fantasy football deep dives. I am your host, Chris Knowles, and today we are settling in for a big one. 30 minutes, all about bounce back tight ends for the 2025 season. It is March 17th, 2025, and we are already dreaming about next year's rosters. Tight ends, they are the wild card of fantasy football, right? One year they're racking up points. The next you're wondering why you even drafted them. And today we're going to spotlight on 6 guys who stumbled in 2024, but have everything it takes to rebound in 2025. We're going to dig into some stats, some situations, projections, everything you need to get ahead of your league mates. So get comfy and let's dive in. All right, let's start with Sam Laporta of the Detroit Lions. This guy was fantasy gold as a rookie in 2023 with 86 catches, 889 yards, and 10 touchdowns. That's a 196.3 half PPR points, making him the tight end number 1 overall. He was an absolute stud. Then 2024 rolls around and it's a letdown with 61 receptions, 589 yards, and just 2 scores with a total of 144.6 points, dropping him to tight end number 7 overall. His per game average fell from 11.5 to 9 points, and he didn't hit 55 yards in a single game. What happened? Well, the Lions offense spread the wealth a lot last year. Jamison Williams emerged. Amon-Ra St. Brown stayed elite, and those red zone looks that Laporta really feasted on just weren't really there. His target shares took a dip from 24% to 19%. But here's why I'm not really worried. He still ran routes on 68% of Jared Goff's dropbacks. That is third among tight ends, and his 1.6 yards per route run was solid. At 24 years old in 2025, with Goff locked in and that Lions offense still humming, they were top 5 in scoring again in 2024. I am projecting a bounce back of 75 catches, 800 yards, and 7 touchdowns. That's about 185 points back in the tight end 5 range. He's not falling off the map, folks. So he's just too talented. I want to unpack a little bit more on Laporta's 2023 season was really historic. Only Rob Gronkowski and Mike Ditka had better rookie tight end seasons in terms of yards. So 2024 felt like kind of a regression to a talent of his standpoint, kind of a drop off. The Lions threw for 4,200 yards last year, and with really no major roster shakeups, I see Laporta climbing back towards 120 target. If he converts even half of his 2023 TD rate, he's a steal in redrafts. But overall, what do you guys think? Is he over or under 7 touchdowns in 2025? Please let me know, comment. Next up, we have Kyle Pitts of the Atlanta Falcons. Pitts is the poster child for fantasy frustration. Back in 2021, he had 1,026 yards as a rookie, which was insane. Then 2024 came, and he ended up with just 53 catches, 635 yards, and a mere 3 touchdowns. About 135 half PPR points just outside the top 12 of tight ends. His snap share cratered 55% or less in 8 of his last 10 games, and he was held under 20 yards in 6 of those. It's brutal for a guy drafted 4th overall. Kirk Cousins threw 16 picks. The offense ranked 18th in passing yards, and Pitts competed with Drake London and Darnell Mooney. But here's the stat that really kind of got me hooked was 2-point yards per route run. That's a top 10 among tight ends. He's still elite when he's targeted. He just needs the ball. Now in 2025 could be a real turning point. Cousins is 36. He's coming off of a shaky year, and Michael Penix obviously looks like the stud that's fixing to really take over for the Falcons and lead them into the future. We might see a play action heavy scheme. Think kind of like Kyle Shanahan vibes, where Pitts really will thrive. He's just 26. He's in his prime with an 82.4 PFF receiving grade from 21 through 23. I'm projecting Pitts to have 70 catches, 900 yards, and 5 touchdowns. That's about 175 points, and that's right around the tight end 8 upside. But it's all about usage. And Atlanta ran 11 personnel, 1 tight end on just 60% of snaps in 24. So that's bump that to 70, and Pitts could explode. He's risky, but the ceiling is just really massive. Moving on to Dalton Kincaid of the Buffalo Bills. Kincaid was the breakout darling last offseason after a 2023 season with 673 yards as a rookie. But 2024, he was just very disappointing. He ended up with 45 catches, 492 yards, and only 2 touchdowns. That's 111 half PPR points. That's really around the range of a tight end 14 overall. He never really topped 55 yards in a game. And after a midseason injury, his route rate dropped below 60%. Josh Allen threw for 4,000 yards again, but Kincaid's target shares were just 15%, and his 1.4 yards per route lagged him behind the elites. Dawson Knox ate into his snaps as well. Kincaid was at 65% snap share. Knox, who hovered around 45% late in the year. So why a bounce back? Well, he's only 25 years old. With first round pedigree, a 4.87 speed, 10-foot broad jump, Josh Allen's arm. Buffalo's offense ranked top 10 in points again, and if they phase Knox out, his contract's up after 26. Kincaid could see 100 targets easily. I'm going to call 60 catches, 700 yards, 4 touchdowns. That's around 160 points. That's around a tight end 12 floor with tight end 8 potential. Compare that to Travis Kelce's 2024, 69 catches, 672 yards, 3 touchdowns. And Kincaid's youth could outpace the vets. He's definitely worth a mid-round flyer, no doubt. Now we're going to move on to TJ Hockenson of the Minnesota Vikings. This one really hurt if you rostered him. That ACL tear from December of 2023 sidelined him until mid-2024. He ended up playing 9 games, and he caught 38 passes for 412 yards and 1 touchdown, averaging 8.5 points per game, barely topped 20. And comparing that to his 2022 season, where he had 86 catches, 914 yards, and 6 touchdowns, that was tight end 3 overall with 186 points. It's a night and day difference. When he returned, his 1.8 yards per route run was still strong, but Justin Jefferson's 1,800 yard season and Jordan Addison's growth really kind of capped his volume with only 18% target share. We're going to fast forward to 2025, And Hawkinson's 28. He's fully recovered, and Minnesota's offense is looking really loaded. Um, Obviously, the big question now is the quarterback. We're not sure what Minnesota is going to end up doing. There are reports that Aaron Rodgers may sign, but still don't forget about former first round pick JJ McCarthy. Either way, Hawkinson's a safety valve. Think 2022 when he averaged 7 targets per game. I'm kind of projecting him around 80 catches, 850 yards, 6 touchdowns. That's around 190 points, and that's in the tight end 6 range. The Vikings ran 12 personnel, two tight end set on 25% of snaps in 24. Bump that down a little bit, feature Hawkinson more, and he's really back. But who would you rather draft, Hawkinson or Kincaid? That's a tough call. I'm leaning more towards Hawkinson. I think Hawkinson is just a bit more talented, and I like what Minnesota has, other than the fact they don't have a quarterback. But I still like Hawkinson as the overall player. Um, let's get into our fifth on the list here, and this one is really fresh. Evan Ingram. Now with the Denver Broncos, Ingram hit free agency after Jacksonville cut him this offseason, and he just signed a 2-year, $23 million deal with $16.5 million guaranteed on March 15th. And in 2024, injuries really crushed him. He had 47 catches, 365 yards, 3 touchdowns in 9 games. It's about 100 half PPR points. That's way down from his 114 catch, 963 yards in 2023. A torn labrum didn't help, but he still led the Jags with 24% target per route rate and 1.6 yards per route run. Denver snagged a 2-time Pro Bowler with 4,922 career yards since 2017. So, why the bounce back spot? Well, Bo Nix, Denver's 2024 first round quarterback, threw for 3,400 yards as a rookie, and the Broncos' tight end usage was abysmal last year. Greg Dulcich managed just 258 yards. Ingram's a massive upgrade from that. And Sean Payton's offense loves versatile tight ends. Think Jimmy Graham vibes. And at 31, Ingram's got some gas in the tank. I'm projecting around 65 catches, 700 yards, 5 touchdowns. That averages around 165 points, and that's about a tight end 10 upside. Denver ranked 22nd in passing yards in 24, and Nix to Ingram could push them higher. Could he outscore Pitts? I'd take that bet. Let's linger on a little bit with Ingram. In 2023, he was the tight end 2 overall with 1,600 air yards, 143 targets. Jacksonville's dysfunction just kind of held him back in 24, but Denver's a fresh start. If Nix really does progress, let's say 3,800 yards in 25, Ingram could hit 90 targets. Risk is really the age and the injury history, but the reward is really there. Give me your thoughts on this signing from Broncos fans. Let me know what you guys think, if you're excited for this or not. At the 6th spot, we've got Pat Fairmouth from the Pittsburgh Steelers. He was a sneaky, decent and tight end in 2024 with 66 catches, 688 yards, 4 touchdowns, 152 half PPR points. He was a tight end 9 overall, but tight end 13 in points per game at 9.5. Not really the breakout that we were kind of hoping for in Arthur Smith's system, where tight ends have a top 3 target rate since 2021. He hit 50 plus yards in 7 games with a 1.7 yards per route run. But Russell Wilson's late arrival and run heavy attack, Pittsburgh led the league with 510 rushes. It kind of capped his ceiling. His target share was around 20%. It's solid, but just not really elite. For 2025, Fairmouth's going to be 26. He's still in his prime. and the quarterback situation is still unsettled. Smith's offense in Atlanta fed Kyle Pitts and Jonas Smith big time. So why not Fairmouth? I'm projecting 70 catches, 800 yards, 6 touchdowns, around 175 points. That's a tight end 7 potential. Pittsburgh threw for 3,600 yards in 24, up that to around 3,900, and he's really a steal. Compare him to Mark Andrews' 2024 season, where he had 45 catches, 575 yards, and 6 touchdowns. And Fairmouth's consistency could win out. One of the biggest things, though, in Pittsburgh that you're going to have to watch really is who's going to be the quarterback. It looks like they're not signing anybody at the moment. I do like the idea. I heard a report today. New England Patriots have Joe Milton up for sale for a 3rd round pick. If I'm the Steelers, I'm all for it. I would take Joe Milton right behind Cam Ward in this draft. He is that good. I believe he could really turn the Pittsburgh Steelers around, and I think Fairmouth would eat. So let's get into some honorable mentions kind of before we wrap up. The first one's going to be Jake Ferguson of the Cowboys. He had 43 catches, 489 yards, no touchdowns in 24, but Dak Prescott's health could mean, 5 scores in the tight end 12 range. I think Jake Ferguson's a phenomenal tight end. I really like him. I drafted him originally last season, and then ended up cutting him like a dummy. But it's okay. I end up grabbing my number 2 honorable mention, which was Dallas Goedert of the Eagles. He had 38 catches, 411 yards, 2 touchdowns in 11 games. He's 30 years old, and in Dynasty, that kind of hurts. That's my breaking point when you hit that curb. But a healthy year with Jalen Hurts, and he could hit 600 yards, which is around a tight end 15 value. There are reports that the Eagles are shopping Dallas Goedert, so that's going to be interesting to see where he kind of goes. So we'll see from there. But there you go, guys. That is 6 bounce back tight ends for 2025, packed with some stats, a little bit of storylines. Obviously some health and quarterback play, scheme fits. It's all on the table. I'm not sure which one's going to bounce back the most, but I would say I feel confident in all 6 of them coming up in 2025. Hit me up on X. My handle is at Chris Knowles NFL, and leave me a comment. I definitely want your takes. Thank you for hanging out with me on the End Zone Experts, and we will be back soon with more fantasy goodness. Until then, keep building those championship rosters, and good night.